Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shocker Career Chats. It's a pleasure to be here today. We are super fortunate to be hosting Alma Hidalgo and Sarah Rupp. Alma is a employment and student development coordinator for the Career Development Center in the Office of Applied and Experiential Learning. Sarah Rupp is one of our career counselors. So we are super fortunate that they are presenting on this job searching and networking at Wichita State. Alma, Sarah, how are you doing today?
Good.
Very good.
Yeah, excited.
We're excited to hear your presentation. So very important stuff, job searching, building your network at Wichita State. A lot of people, students, for a lot of students that are coming from out of town, or even in town, either way, they're coming to school to learn, to go to class, but they're also coming to perhaps a new environment, a new area where building your network and job searching is critically important. So Alma and Sarah, a couple notes to the audience. So if you have a question, be sure to enter it in the Q&A feature. And I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Brian Austin, Director of Applied and Experiential Learning at Wichita State University. So happy to be here. So if you have a question, please enter it in the Q&A feature anytime. And if it's, we will get to that. And then finally, also check the chats, check the chat screen for info and other helpful links. There will be useful information in the chat box. So appreciate everybody attending today. So Alma, Sarah, why don't you kick us off?
All right, I will get us started. So the first portion that we're going to be going through is just kind of talking about Handshake. If I can get that to work for me. There we go. Okay, so essentially what is Handshake? So Handshake is Wichita State University's online hub for all of our different career resources. So this could include things such as job and internship listings, and that could be on a local scale or even a national scale. And then you also have 24/7 access, and you are able to sign up for things like on-campus events. You can schedule different appointments with the Career Development Center or the Office of Applied and Experiential Learning. And then you can upload all sorts of cover letters, resumes, and other application materials too. So one of the things that you can do with Handshake is use this to help you get hired. So you can discover and apply for a variety of on-campus jobs, internships, part-time jobs, full-time opportunities as well. And these can be accessed through that jobs tab that you see on the screen. So you can search by job titles, you could search by different employers with different keywords. You could also search by your major or for positions that match you based on your profile. And then again, I want to reiterate being able to upload your cover letters and your resumes to attach to all of the different job postings that are on here. This can be done by clicking on the Documents tab, and then again, resumes or other application materials can be used too. So that could be class schedules or even transcripts. And then remember to try to appropriately label your documents too. That way, if you're applying for multiple positions, multiple companies, you can have that clearly labeled for each individual one. And that Documents tab can actually be located under your picture or your profile icon. So in this image, this student has a WooShock as their profile icon. So you just click on that, a drop-down box will display for you, and documents will be right there. You just click on it, and you should be able to upload whatever it is you need. Another thing is being able to get connected. So you can connect with a variety of different employers that want to hire shockers. You can review their organization's profiles in the Employers tab right here on the screen. And you can read reviews left by your fellow peers, as well as follow that employer to receive notifications of new job postings or just to see when they'll be on campus. So you'll see that little icon right there with the star and the follow. So just click on that. You should be able to see everything that they're posting. Handshake also offers students the ability to ask other Handshake users any questions or even answer questions that another has posted. And since this is Handshake wide, again, it includes those from other colleges and universities too. So again, this can be accessed through that Q&A tab right at the top there. Another thing that I want to mention is that students and alumni who have their profiles publicly available can actually send messages to each other, kind of like what I just talked about before with a variety of different colleges and universities on here. So to do this, you just click on the Students tab. Actually, I think I'm on the wrong slide here. This is tricky. Okay, so I'm on the Settings tab. So you would click on the Students tab, and then from there, Settings and Privacy, you'll see on here, Community is that top one. If you click on Community, then you should be able to have it publicly available to everybody. And then once you do that, you just hit Save Update. And again, it says, it's visible to all employers, students, and alumni across all Handshake colleges and universities. And then from there, you can get informed. So you can quickly and easily register for on-campus events, including career fairs, networking events, and different employer information sessions. You can prepare for the events by just reviewing the critical details and lists of the participating employers that are located within each event listed on here. So on here, you can see once you click on upcoming events, you can see view event, just click on that and it should show you everything. Then we'll talk about appointments. So this is a big one. So setting up an appointment with the Career Development Center or the Office of Applied and Experiential Learning is really just a click away. If you don't want to make that appointment via phone call to our office, that's fine. Handshake can be utilized. So there are a variety of different appointments that are available. Just a few of them would be resume reviews, mock interviews, job searches, career advising, co-op and internships enrollments. And then you just click on that Career Center tab at the top, then Appointments, and then Schedule an Appointment, and you're in and you are booked with one of us. So after that, I just have to say, what are you waiting for? Check out Handshake. You can visit us at wichitastate.joinhandshake.com. And then you just log in with your WSU ID and password, and you are all set. So
Sarah,
after that, yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, maybe you were getting to that, but so say a student's having problems logging on, is this is the right number to call, right? 316-978-3688. It's the right email to send. If students, like you said, some of them, we can also take appointments that way. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, you can. There are a variety of different ways you can do it. You can call, you can send an email, or you can go through Handshake, and those will immediately come to us. We have people that will monitor that email. We have people that can answer the phone calls. During this time, obviously we're not in the office right now, but you can still call, leave a message, we'll call you back, that kind of thing, just to get you set up with an appointment.
That's great, and I love that you pointed out the events. So, and I know we will have a lot of those events front-loaded at the beginning of the semester as soon as students are on campus. So be sure to check that out. A lot of them are listed already, and new ones are being added virtually every day, it seems like.
Yes, they are.
Awesome. Cool.
All right, Alma, you are up.
right.
Go ahead and tell us about LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, Handshake is a really good tool for everybody to keep in mind, especially once you're on campus and you're trying to get connected. Every student has access to Handshake, and LinkedIn and LinkedIn Learning, which is a tool that we'll talk about today, those are just added bonuses on top of Handshake already. And so we wanted to pair these two together to kind of share that with you. So yeah, LinkedIn, most of you should know what LinkedIn is. If you don't have a profile yet, definitely make sure you create a profile. It's super easy to do. It's the largest professional network that we have, that a lot of employers use from students to full-time faculty, employers, industry, and everybody's on LinkedIn. And it's a really good opportunity to get connected and network. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But one of the main things that we want to talk about today is the job opportunities that it comes with. And so a lot of industry and employers utilize it for job opportunities. So they post opportunities they have within their company or their small business, or even on campus. We have positions that are on campus too that we post on there. And it's a good way to see that. You might also think about Indeed. So that's another tool that folks use all the time. But LinkedIn Learning is a little bit more user-friendly, I would say. You can utilize that and then connect the two to Handshake, and you're able to make that search a lot simpler for you whenever you're looking for positions. And then LinkedIn, it serves a good purpose for networking. So Brian is a guru when it comes to networking on LinkedIn, I would say. You can connect with your peers, your student peers, your faculty, staff, from an organization that you're involved in, or even employers. So let's say that there is an employer on campus that you went to because you saw it on Handshake. You're able to connect with that employer and see what they're involved in, see what they do in the community, or what type of professional career they've had and how they got to where they're at. And personal branding, I would say that one's probably the most important out of this slide right here. Because as a student, once you're coming into campus, or you're a transfer student, or you're about to graduate, personal branding means a lot to employers. They want to see who you are, what you're involved in, what your interests are, and what skills and knowledge you have already. And LinkedIn is a free tool for you to use. It's an easy way for you to share with the world, essentially. And it's easy for you to just put it out there and be ready to go when it comes to sharing who you are. So a couple of things to just kind of reiterate about LinkedIn. It helps you stay current, and not only, with, skills and knowledge that you have personally, but what's going on in the industry. So let's say that you are, a student that wants to go into the fine arts. What are museums doing nowadays when it comes to, folks being at home and not necessarily, being able to go to a museum? How are they sharing what they have to offer to everybody that is their customer? So just staying current in all areas, staying connected. I mean, it's a good way to again, see what people are doing, how do I get, in the industry, how do I find out what's going on, to get that first internship, or just get connected, in Wichita, once you move to Wichita, if you're from out of town. Managing your network, it's a good way to, again, connect with peers that have the same interests as you, are studying the same major you are, following those employers that are within the area of an industry that you're wanting to go into. So it just helps you have a little bit of a hand on what you want to see, versus just seeing all kinds of stuff that you're not necessarily interested in. And then personal branding, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's what employers want to see. And if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, it kind of puts you a little bit behind everybody else, I would say, just because it's what employers are going to. They want to see what you're doing. And if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, they might see, well, maybe they're not as interested in getting into, software engineering, for example, or, marketing, or whatever it may be. So keep that in mind whenever you think of LinkedIn Learning. So that's your homework for today. Go set up your LinkedIn profile if you haven't, and get that going. So LinkedIn Learning is a tool that Wichita State now offers to our students, which is super exciting. We just kind of, were able to launch it out to everybody this spring, which is super exciting. It's an online education platform for 5,000 courses, and I'm sure there's a lot more from when we created this PowerPoint, just because they're always adding something new every day to it. And pretty much what it is, it helps you develop your personal skills, your soft skills, which is something that employers are looking for, technical skills. So, when it comes to software, what are they doing in your major, in your area of study that you're going into, what is industry looking for? It helps you find all different types of things related to your interest. And even if you have a hobby, for like myself, photography, that's something that you'll see on one of the slides. You can go up there and search for, a photography course. You can do that as well. So there's a lot of different things that it offers, and it's super simple, super user-friendly, and it helps you strengthen your LinkedIn profile too. So I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the presentation on how it benefits your LinkedIn profile and how the two kind of work together. So benefits for you as a student, you get a free license. Being a Wichita State student, you have access to a free license. We're working with our faculty and staff right now to get it to their groups and their departments as well right now. So even as a full-time person, we have access to it, and we get to continue our professional development. But for you as a student development and starting your professional development is going to be key to that second point that you see on the slide here with your educational experience. So how do the two tie together, right? So LinkedIn Learning, think of it as an additional textbook, almost another tool that you get to utilize, from everything you're learning in the classroom, in your student organizations, in that part-time job, everything that you're doing. LinkedIn Learning is just an added bonus to everything that you're already doing, because you can access it anytime you want on your desktop, on your phone. There's an app, so download the app once you get your license going. So it's a great additional tool to your educational experience, and it helps you kind of plug in those small things that you might be missing, and closing the gap. That's something that we talk about in higher ed, is that gap that you have from your education to that first full-time job. This is a super essential tool to helping you do that as well as a student. So so what you see here is a screenshot of my LinkedIn profile, or my LinkedIn Learning profile that you see here. So the nice thing about LinkedIn is once you create your profile, you're able to target specific skills, areas of interest that you're interested in. So if you're an engineering student, you can kind of hone in a little bit more on those key, software programs, or industry specific presentation skills, or Excel, etc. So you're able to kind of narrow that down, and and once you log in, it kind of shows you, here's the top 10 things that are interesting for Alma, for example. So I think this was from whenever I was messing around with a couple of things that we were trying to figure out, within our office, of, how to stay organized, working from home, how to stay, connected and doing all these things. So that's what you see there on the screen. And then the nice thing too is LinkedIn Learning, you can kind of set goals for yourself. So I didn't do very well on this week, so don't judge me, but 30 minutes a week that you can spend, just watching a course or two, and it's super easy to fill that time when you're interested in what you're learning, and learning new tools and new skills. So you can set a timeline for you to spend some time on LinkedIn Learning and really get to learn that. But you're also able to stop anytime you want and go back, and you can start and stop a course at any time that you want. So there on the right hand side, you can kind of see a couple of courses that I started, and they're in progress. So it's really simple to use. Anytime you can come and go as you wish, because students, you're busy, so you're always on the go. So it's a really nice thing to see there. So one thing about LinkedIn Learning that I did want to talk about is how it's built. So there are courses, and then there's learning paths. So I'll kind of talk a little bit about what the two are. So learning path, what you're seeing here on the screen, a learning path is a variety of different courses, content that create a learning path. So this one specific is to graphic design. So that was my undergrad. So of course, I'm going to use LinkedIn Learning to kind of keep myself in the know with graphic design. So this learning path here is a little bit over 22 hours. So that's a lot to do in a sitting. So that's why it's nice that you can come and go as you want. There's 11 items in this learning path, and you can just watch it and complete it. And once you're done with that, you can actually add it to your LinkedIn profile, which I'll show you here in a second. But let's say that you are, you're doing a group project and you need to learn how to do formulas on an Excel document and you don't want to watch a 5-hour course, you can just watch the 15-minute course specific to that key thing that you're trying to learn, and just watch that 15 minutes and be good to go. So, and then if you want to come back later, you can finish the course as you want. Yeah. Brian?
Yeah. Hey, so we have our question here, Alma. So
Yeah.
Shreyas Daranesh wants to know, how do they get access to LinkedIn Learning?
Yeah. So
I can answer that if that's okay, Alma. So the first, this should be rolling out student-wide with single sign-on, either as soon as next week or the week after. But if you would like to get access early, I suggest you just email linkedinlearning@wichita.edu, and I'll type that out in the chats. Just email linkedinlearning@wichita.edu, and we will give you early access as part of this presentation. You showed up today, get early access. So
that's right. Yeah, and I'll share it in the presentation as well. So if you don't catch it in the comments, then you can see it on the slides as well. But yeah, that's a really nice thing about LinkedIn Learning, is that you're able to come and go as you want. We're working with some groups on campus already and assigning learning paths to benefit the positions they have on campus already. So as a student worker, we're able to kind of plug in, specific tools that you might need to increase your knowledge and skills in that specific area that you're in. So it's super user friendly as well. So that's one thing that I really, really like. LinkedIn Learning, with that, like I mentioned earlier, once you complete a learning path, you're also able to get a certification. So you have the opportunity to add it onto your LinkedIn profile. So here you can kind of see a few things that I did last fall when we were first, trying out LinkedIn Learning. So I did a course on being an admin on LinkedIn Learning, and then teaching about teaching with LinkedIn Learning, because that's something that our faculty are going to be utilizing. So obviously, we want to make sure that we are, aware of what's going on, so we can share it with those folks. And then, like I mentioned earlier, photography, I took a learning path on how to use my Canon camera, because I'm a beginner, let me tell you. So you can't hire me. I'm not for hire. But yeah, you can add it onto your LinkedIn profile, which is super beneficial, because employers and those folks that you're connected with, your network, they're going to be able to see, what skills and what certifications you already have. And this is like a, online resume almost, that anybody has access to. And a lot of more often than not, students are shocked when they have a recruiter reach out to them and say, hey, Alma, I saw that, you are very familiar with LinkedIn Learning as an admin. We would love to talk to you about XYZ position or whatever. That's just an example. But more often than not, that happens with our students. And it's something that you should definitely consider taking advantage of, for sure, whenever it comes to, you setting up your LinkedIn Learning account and going all in and learning all the cool things that you need to learn for your specific area of interest. And as you think about, going full-time after graduation. So like Brian mentioned earlier, this is how you can contact our office to get your LinkedIn Learning license. So just email us at linkedinlearning@wichita.edu. In the subject line, you just put in student license. And then what we'll do on our end is we will follow up with you individually, give you a couple of steps on how to, get your account set up. We'll share a few intro videos with you on, intro to LinkedIn Learning, so you can kind of get your hands on it a little bit. And then we will just, connect with you with your WSU student email. Or if you don't have that set up yet, then we can, figure that out as we go. So once you're a WSU student, we can get that connected. And then once you have set up your account, you can link it to your LinkedIn profile. And then that's how the two connect. And that's how you're able to share your certifications and all the cool stuff that you've done through this tool. So yeah, that's what I have. And then I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, unless there's any questions pertaining to LinkedIn Learning, and then she'll wrap up a few of the slides that we have.
So I have a few questions and just comments on LinkedIn Learning. So Alma, you pointed out, I loved how you talked about, using LinkedIn specifically. So there are essentially two tools we're talking about, right? There's LinkedIn, which is the the professional social networking site, right? And then there is LinkedIn Learning, which is this tool that, because you're now a WSU student, you have special access to. It's a learning tool, right? So, but concerning LinkedIn, what you were talking about, building your network. You said staying current, and I love that because you know, some of the immediate news, the first time, you know, a company's, you know, makes an announcement that they're going to hire, you know, 40 people for this or 60 people for that or whatever, a lot of that news hits LinkedIn right away, right?
Right.
So, and so it's a really powerful tool in that way of staying current.
Right, right.
And I love your suggestion of searching for peers, right? So searching for other classmates, connecting with them on LinkedIn. A lot of people don't realize, I think, and I certainly didn't realize as a student, that coming to Wichita State, the people that you are sitting with next to in your classes, there's a strong possibility that they will actually be a part of your professional network moving forward. So you coming to class, you are already building your professional network, right? Those student organizations that you join, you are building your professional network, joining those student organizations. And you will be surprised by how many people that you sat in a classroom with that you later develop a working relationship with down the road. So be sure to connect with them. Also, as far as LinkedIn, I just encourage you guys, and I don't want to, I'm going to speak for you and Alma, or for you, Alma, and you, Sarah, but connect with us on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. I forgot to say that. Follow me on LinkedIn.
Boom, there you go. So great comments. And so, yeah, appreciate it.
All right, so I guess I will wrap up a little bit with what we have left over. So again, we mentioned this before, but you can connect with the Career Development Center at careerdevelopment@wichita.edu or call us at 316-978-3688. Again, just leave a message, we'll give you a call back. And then we want to tell you guys that we're still offering the following services virtually during COVID-19. So the resume reviews, mock interviews, major exploration, career advising, career counseling, job search help, career management skills. We can do all of that virtually. We are all set up to handle that. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out and make an appointment for any one of those things. And then kind of what you mentioned before, Brian, you know, get social with us, all of our different social media platforms. So we are on Facebook at Wichita State Career Development. We are on Twitter at Shocker Connect. LinkedIn is Wichita State Career Development. And then we also have a YouTube page at Wichita State University Career Development Center.
So appreciate that. And we have a question here. And I would just like to remind any of the participants, if you have a question, please submit it during the Q&A feature. So the question is, so Alma, Sarah, obviously using LinkedIn, that's one social networking site. It's a professional networking site. What recommendations do you have for employers, or not for employers, but for students who, I have often heard that one of the first things an employer will do when they're looking at a candidate that they want to consider is they will Google that candidate, right? So keeping that in mind, any suggestions, anything students should be aware of?
Yeah, so I forgot to mention LinkedIn Learning actually, whenever it's one of, I mean, everybody's using it. And when you Google somebody, LinkedIn, their LinkedIn profile is one of the top, 5 things that will pop up on that Google search. So one more reason why you should definitely have your LinkedIn profile set up and ready to go. And then when it comes to, an employer searching for you, I was lucky enough to, I was in a sorority when I was in my undergrad institution, and that was something that we talked about a lot, is your social media, why it's important to have a good presence in your social media. And that's exactly why, Brian, is because employers will search you, and everything you put out there stays on the internet, forever, maybe. I don't know. But, you want to make sure that you have a good presence, and, that you show, who you are as a person, and, what you're involved in. And, a community is a big thing for employers too. And so whenever, when it comes to your Facebook and your Instagram and all of that, those type of social media platforms, you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself, as you want them to see you in that professional setting. And not saying that, you can't have fun with your friends and all of that, but, just make sure that you're aware, and you you conduct yourself as an adult and as a professional, and even as a current student. I mean, that's something that, as is faculty and staff and, employers that we work with, we keep that in mind at all times, because we want to hold you, to accountable and make sure that you're the best that you can be. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that I tell students all the time is, your reputation matters, right? And so you're building that reputation. If thinking about your classmates as part of your professional network, as people that you might be working with down the road in the future, just keep that in mind, because how you behave, how you collaborate, how you contribute as a team member in class, that's all important. People remember that. And so, yeah, that's really important, Alma. You said something and it spurred another question for me. So Alma, Sarah, we've told people to look at the chat for resources, right? Directing people to the Career Development Center and other things. Are there other ways or other things you recommend? I know we've done some other videos, some other things on our website that we could point students to when they're coming up, trying to go about this whole job search process. Are there resources on our website that we want to point out directly to them? Or places within the website on that wichita.edu/careers page?
I mean, I would say just make sure, like Handshake, that's definitely one of the tools as an incoming student that you definitely want to utilize for multiple reasons. I mean, we have our events, you're able to connect with our office, set up that appointment that Sarah talked about. And then obviously, within our Career Center, our website, you're able to look at, our resume samples that we have. You're able to see, how you can get connected on campus, our different resources. So student involvement, counseling services. I mean, all of those different tools that you're going to utilize to help you get through your college experience is definitely going to be important. But yeah, Handshake is definitely the top one that I can think of off the top of my head. Sarah, I don't know if you have any others.
Well, honestly, we have a variety of different links and whatnot on our webpage on the wichita.edu website, and we have a variety of different links. We have an area where we're referencing COVID-19. If you're looking for jobs that way, definitely check that out. And then just anything to do with career management, with accessing just different ways to connect with people. We have a variety of different resume templates on there as well. So if people wanted to, it's kind of a stressful time. So as sitting down and trying to get down into it, to really put a resume together, it can be daunting. So we have templates that are already made that you can download, and it just really helps you kind of go through and figure out what you need to put on there. So we have a variety of different avenues that you can look into on our webpage specifically.
Yeah, this is a perfect time.
Yeah,
sorry.
I love those resume templates. It's fascinating. Some of those, just me as an example, I remember going to the Career Development Center as a, sophomore, I think, at Wichita State, and getting my resume reviewed using one of those templates that they had provided. And then essentially that's the same resume, just altered, dozens and dozens of times, but it's the same resume initially that I used to apply for the job I'm in today. So it's fascinating how, just getting started can take you so far. So another question. So this is a great question. So what do you recommend, Alma? Because the idea for a lot of incoming freshmen can be daunting about, building a network, the job search process, filling out, that LinkedIn profile. What advice would you give to a student who only has experience maybe doing sort of those gig type jobs that a lot of us do in high school, right? Mm-hmm. So lawn mowing, babysitting, restaurant retail experience.
Sure.
What do you suggest about, putting those kinds of things in LinkedIn or Handshake or what have you?
Yeah, so I mean, when you're talking about, if you were a server at Sonic, I worked at Sonic as when I was in high school, so how do you put that on a resume and make it sound professional, even though it's Sonic? We always tell students, and that's something that we get questions on all the time is, well, I've only done, lawn mowing, or I only worked, in food service. That's not really professional experience is what students think. But we tell students, any experience is good experience, and don't be afraid to share it. We just have to make sure that whenever you communicate it on your resume, that you're sharing it in a way that makes that position sound professional. So let's say that you did, you worked with your dad on your lawn mowing service, so, assisted 25 customers per month on, services with, trimming and cutting, fancy words for lawn care. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but, using those numbers and quantity and different things like that help the employer see, okay, this person might have only, helped with, babysitting, 5 kids, per, during the week or whatever. What skills did you learn? Organization, time management, patience, all of those things that your communication is a big one with babysitting. So, how do you communicate that in your resume? So think about it that way on how you can, share those soft skills and those technical skills that you're using when it comes to those specific positions that aren't necessarily, industry related, lawn care and babysitting. Those are really good, examples. So think about it that way. Mm-hmm.
And a good way to also list that on a resume is, if say you were a babysitter somewhere, oftentimes we whenever we're putting something on a resume, it's you put a position title as well as where you worked. Well, if you're a babysitter, you can just put that and then put self-employed, because technically you are self-employed. And then what I always tell people is just try to kind of jazz it up. So, don't just talk about what you did, just all of your duties within, but really talk about, like you said, the skills that you learned, that you utilized, any accomplishments that you had. And then again, like you said, trying to quantify everything as much as you possibly can. And that will really shine through for an employer.
Yeah, I love that. And, jazzing it up in a way, to me, you say jazzing it up, to me, it's just, you are doing a good job of explaining what you did, right? When you think about babysitter, basically, it sounds like a simple job, but you're essentially responsible for that person's life, and so it's you are providing childcare, and from an employer perspective, and I know because I work with a lot of employers, when they see the fact that you mowed lawns for a summer, the fact that you were a waiter or a maybe a lifeguard, they understand that you learned some essential skills, some soft skills, just like Alma and Sarah talked about, and that hard work, work ethic, communication, all those things that you listed off, Alma, and so that really can show how eager you are to get to work and how eager you are to learn. So I put it on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So another question. So who are some people you can reach out to in order to extend your LinkedIn network? If you've never had a job, it may be hard to grow your network, right? So is it okay to add faculty, friends? What about people you don't know but want to learn more about their career profession? Is it okay to add them on LinkedIn?
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, what are you comfortable with, and who do you want to see on your feed, and, what types of things you want to see. So at the end of the day, you have the ultimate decision. From my perspective, with my own LinkedIn account, I have faculty that I, had when I was an undergrad student. I have, faculty that I work with now, and staff that I work with at WSU as a professional. And it's just a good way to connect and, kind of build those relationships when it comes to, us working with their students, and how do we support them. So that's something that we do as a student. I think if you have if you feel comfortable sharing your biology professor and they accept it, then, that's a good way for you to connect, and you never know what might come out of it, So let's say that you're, going into biomed, you connected with your professor, and, he knows that you connected with him, and now you have an opportunity to do research in his lab. Things like that might come out from those, connections through LinkedIn Learning. And if you haven't had, any job experience and you don't really know who to connect, your parents, have connections. That's a good way. Think of those folks in your community that you know already. So, your high school teachers, they have connections to employers, and they have, you might have relatives that have their own business already, or, things like that. That's an easy way to find folks to connect with, through LinkedIn. And that's kind of how you start that web of networking, for you as you're starting out. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, it's just as simple as reaching out. It does not matter, again, like you said, it kind of goes with your comfort level, but just reach out, connect with somebody, and just say, maybe it's you're trying to connect with somebody that's in the field that you're trying to go into. Just connect with them and say, hey, I noticed that you are in this field. I'm really interested. I was hoping to connect with you so that I could maybe get a little bit more information about what your day-to-day is like, any advice that you have for me, something like that. And then from there, you can continue to build on. And then as well as just classmates, that's fine too. Then connect with anybody you can. Classmates that are going through a similar program, classmates that, you may just want to kind of pick their brains about something too. So just connecting with as many people as you possibly can in as many ways, like you said, in the community, if you go to church, in your church community, things like that.
Right.
Yeah. I think I added Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. I think somehow I sent them a LinkedIn request. I don't know if they accepted it or not, but I did read an article one time that said, why you should never decline a LinkedIn invitation, right? And so, so I think that's great advice. Don't, the worst thing that's going to happen is they ignore your request, right? And so,
You can also think about it almost like Instagram just popped in my head. So whenever you're on Instagram, you follow people, like I follow a lot of, designers and, things with regards to artists and things like that. I don't know them, but I follow them just because I want to see their work. And, they have videos, and it's very similar to LinkedIn. They post, what they're doing, tools they're using, webinars they've taken, etc. That's the very same thing with LinkedIn. That's exactly how it works on Instagram. And that, that might simplify it a little bit and minimize the nerves of, connecting with somebody you don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you brought up Instagram, Alma. I think that's great. One of some advice that I heard recently was, instead of spending, 2 hours on Instagram a day, spend an hour and a half on Instagram and spend another half hour on LinkedIn. Just replace maybe even 15 minutes or a half an hour a day from what you're already doing. So another question we have is, I'm a WSU student starting this fall semester. Can I use your services before I officially get to campus? Resumes or other help choosing a major?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Did I cut out there a second? So this question is, I'm a WSU student coming in starting this fall semester. Do I have to wait, or can I use your services before I officially get to campus?
Yeah, you're definitely able to use our services anytime. We even have alumni that come back and utilize our services, or returning adults, returning adult learners that just want to get connected again. So yeah, I mean, right now we're not on campus at this time, but we're hoping, in the near future, we slowly make trickles back onto campus and back to our offices. But yeah, you're definitely able to use our resources. And like Sarah mentioned earlier, all of our services are still online. We're hosting, live webinars, and you're able to communicate with us via Zoom. Our appointments with our students are on Zoom right now. So we're connecting with our students that way, getting them enrolled and doing resume reviews, all of that fun stuff. So yeah, you're able to do that now. So yeah, feel free to connect with us and ask us how we can help you get ready for the fall semester.
That's right. That's great. And so someone pointed out in the chat box, but students can also, so you connect via LinkedIn, but students can also connect with through Handshake via the peer messaging tool with other WSU students and alumni that may still be active in Handshake. So I thought that was a good point.
Yeah, I think Sarah talked about that in her presentation piece. Yeah.
Right. So good. Reiterate that.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm checking the Q&A. I don't see any other questions coming through. So I want to thank you, Alma, and thank you, Sarah, very much for the presentation. Stay tuned for updates, and we have more of these Shocker Career Chats coming up. I'm really excited about next week's Shocker Career Chat featuring WSU alumni who work in professional sports. So we have alumni they're currently working for the New York Giants, alumni that's working for Sporting KC in Kansas City, the Royals professional baseball team, and there may be another one I forget, but it should be a really cool presentation. So,
Yeah, this was fun.
yeah, thank you to all the attendees. And yeah, this was fun. I really enjoyed doing these, and you both have such you're good presenters, and you have such a wealth of knowledge to offer. So thank you. And for all you attendees, please reach out, please connect with us on LinkedIn. Stay tuned, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks everybody.
Guys, thank you.